Warning, 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 warning. We are live. Warning. Walker asked for a warning.
That's just annoying. That's just bad.
Warning. Warning.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I've got the lounge music up. I think.
wonder how many times you said that.
It's been a while since I've been in the lounge. We've already discussed so much pre-lounge.
Yeah,
that's the next step. The pre-lounge show. That's a Patreon only, I think. Pre-lounge.
Yeah, the pre-lounge, man.
We figured out the best coffee of fast food restaurants.
I know we wasted a lot of our pre-lounge material, but we got a lot to talk about on this show, so we probably shouldn't hang around in the lounge too long. I mean, we got some wings. We brought David Walker on to talk wings. Love a good wing. Hornets
really?
and
I didn't know we were talking wings. Okay, I didn't realize that.
Well, that's the whole thing. Wings. We did the guards. We'll do the bigs next week. Now we're doing the wings.
I think my favorite wings are near you, Walker. Moosehead. They have really good.
That's
wings.
what everybody says. I still, it's crazy.
Good.
I'm right here. I've never had them, and yet everybody says they have the best. Yeah, everybody says they have the best wings.
Wings prices are ridiculous still. They have been a victim of inflation and supply and demand. People want the wings. There are not enough wings. Can't get the wings. Wings are pricey now. It's like $15, $16 for a plate of wings.
The real Gordon Hayward wings. Yeah.
The price of Gordon Hayward wing went up. Yeah, we haven't. There's been and I'll tell you, there hasn't been enough supply of Gordon Hayward. I'll tell you that right now.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Oh, nice. That's true.
Okay.
I'm a dry rub fan too. I don't know if you guys. That's sometimes controversial, but love a good dry rub wing. And Dilworth has good dry rub wings, but they're expensive because wings.
Dilworth, yep. Sundries, I usually hit up there after basketball games and get those. What I've started doing, Walker, and I don't know if you want to try this out on your own personal wing day, but yeah, I get them blackened, so that's got the dry rub, and then I ask them to just toss them, just toss them in a little buffalo, whatever your sauce of choice is. That seems to reduce, the I don't want to say moistness, but the
that's okay.
It brings it down.
I would like you to say moistness, please.
that word doesn't bother me. I know it bothers a lot of people, but no, I'm with it. So okay, that sounds good. I'm definitely
because I'm more of a dry rub guy as well.
Yeah.
You know why I like dry rub? It has really not. I mean, I've had good dry rubs. I've had okay dry rubs. I've had nothing dry rubs. But I like dry rubs because. Shut up. Just let me say.
I didn't say anything. I'm laughing. I'm just laughing.
I like dry rubs because of the flexibility of the dry rub, right? You get to put as much sauce or as little sauce or whatever sauce. I love to do a good takeout order, dry rub, bring them back to the house, make myself an array of different sauces that I have stocked away in the fridge. Okay. And then I get all the flexibility. I don't need a restaurant telling me what sauce, how much sauce. Sometimes they put too much sauce. Sometimes they don't put enough sauce. Sometimes the sauce gets cold and gelatinous. No, I like a fresh sauce on a dry rub.
Well, I tell you, I've started doing wings at home, guys. I throw them on the grill here. Now, that's kind of a next level thing, Walker, if you want to try that out. You can do pre-sauce, right? You can pre-sauce it and then put it on the grill. Leaves a lot of leftover residue on your grill, so you have to clean that up. Or
but the marinade is better. It's soaked in a little bit more, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what the family likes around here. But then I like to also do just the marinade, salt, pepper, a little salt and pepper, a little garlic powder on the grill, then bring it in, and then, like I said, toss it.
That's it. That's the way. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, you get a little bit of both. You don't have to make nearly as big of a mess. I think that's the way to go, for sure.
If you're gonna eat wings, you're gonna get some stuff on your face.
Which is honestly an old man reason why I sometimes like the dry rub better. You're just not necessarily as messy, and sometimes I don't want to get messy. I'm sorry. I know that's some like boneless chicken wing stuff. Like, we don't have to talk about that. Sometimes it's nice to not be as saucy. Sorry.
Okay, I'm ready to do this show if you gentlemen are ready. We've already got people up in the chat. If you've been listening or watching so far, this is the lounge. This is our pre-show. We do this every once in a while when we have some good pre-show take, especially on a fun Friday. Fun Friday. That's today. We got some people up in the
any
chat.
wing thoughts or coffee thoughts? In the chat?
Yeah, well, put them in the chat right now. We'll get to them later in the show for sure.
Yeah.
So put your wing thoughts, or I'll try to record them so that I don't have to do too much scrolling. But we got the real grandmama in the chat saying, top of the morning to you, gents. Topo!
Mm-hmm.
Corey saying, good lounge music. Yes, sir. Danny on the chat,
great.
happy Friday. Danny, I hope you're happy. You were pretty sad in the last show. I hope you're happier.
Yeah.
I hope we brought some optimism back to Danny on the chat. GCB Tracer says, happy Friday. Happy. Diesel Music saying, happy Friday. Happy. Joey Riolano says, top of the morning to you all. I get a lot of topos.
Yeah.
Topo. Brianna Tucker saying, Hugh, never made it to Hive Live. Got to say, it's a great way to start a Friday. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, man.
Topo.
That makes me feel fantastic. Topo to you.
Bruce saying, happy Friday. Let's give him a topo. 1, 2, 3. Topo. Oh, yes. Oh, that was way late. Is there a delay?
Topo.
It's
Well,
a
we
little
got
echo.
delays. If you do this
Topo
over there.
echo. Oh,
We got
Everett does.
delays.
Everett does say soul wings are the best.
Oh, man. See, okay, we gotta hop on the show, and I like soul wings, but they're double battered, and that's, I mean, I kind of don't love the double batter.
I love a double. Oh man, a little like Korean fried wing, the little double fry. The more the better.
It's one of those things.
Fry that thing 3 times. I don't care.
Yeah, I've got to be in the mood for those, but it's one of those things when they hit. My God, do they hit? But usually I just want more meat to bread ratio or flour ratio. And for me, like, I'm just going to go ahead and eat the meat more so than the double battered thing. But it's very good. It's a very good, it's a good inclusion.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. It is good.
Danny on the chat brings up a great point. Air fryer for the homemade wings.
Change your life. Air fryer changed your life in a whole bunch of different ways, man. Like,
I've heard that is the way to go. Yeah.
You've heard? David, you've heard?
I've not done much air frying. No, we have one.
You need to.
I have
please.
The wings.
There is
the wings on the grill.
I'm telling you, David, you will separate your life at that point. There will be life before you had air fried chicken wings, and there will be life after. It will forever delineate the memories of your entire life.
It helps with so many different things. Air fryers are the things that I thought might be overhyped because everybody loved them.
Yeah.
But nope, they're great. I totally subscribe to how great air fryers are.
Jose on the chat says, Doug, where's the beard? The beard is gone. I've said this I've had this discussion many times on the show. I am
Where is
very.
it, though? That's what he knows.
Well, it's in.
I
dispose. Typically, when I shave, I dispose of the beard hair in the toilet. I don't know if that's good or bad for the environment. I don't know if that's an environmental no, but I don't like to put it down the sink. I try to get as much of it as I can into the trash can. But that's a separate discussion. It's gone. It's some mixture of toilet, sink, and trash can. But I shaved the beard. And I didn't even think about, well, so here's the thing. I just randomly shaved my beard. My hair's getting long and the hairs tend to like dip down into the sideburns and it looks all scruffy. And I don't know how to cut my sideburns without just shaving my beard. I'm scared about doing that. And I don't want to get a haircut right now. So I shaved the beard off, okay? I didn't even think about it. I have a child. I don't know if you know this. I have a baby. I didn't even think about shaving the beard. I walk downstairs, baby immediately cries. Like it's people warn you about that. It's like TikTok trend. Yeah. And I didn't even think about it. And I was like, wow, baby, you are being so cliche right now. You're on trend, but you're being so cliche right now.
How about you be original, baby? Seriously.
I like that description though. It's fitting description for the lounge. A mixture of toilet, sink, and bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had all sorts of. Yeah, we talked about things being moist earlier, so we're off and rolling.
Taco!
Why did I go there too? I did too. I went right there.
Okay, let's do. Are you ready to do the show?
We're doing cold open and then coming in.
Yes, we're doing it. We're doing it all, baby.
Okay. All right. So let me think. Yada yada. Before we do it. Receipts. Receipts.
I have a media play receipt that I need to read on the show.
Receipt. Gotcha. Okay. A receipt, if you will. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to mess this up. This is going to be live and I'm going to mess it up. That's going to happen. Tell me when we're live.
We're live. We've always been live, but we're good to go.
Gotcha. Tell me when to go.
Go.
Okay. We're continuing our position preview. Today, we're going to talk about the wings, specifically Gordon Hayward. How much impact can he provide for the Charlotte Hornets? Plus, we're going fishing again to talk about the Charlotte Hornets all today. Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
We're Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
Topo! It's Locked On Hornets. Locked On Podcast Network.
Fun
David
Friday.
Walker. Fun Friday. Hive Live. Oh, man. Get you set for the weekend. We got the sirens, baby. We appreciate you joining us here on Locked On Hornets, making us your first listen every day. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. If you check us out on YouTube, you can also hang out with us in the lounge every once in a while. Doug kind of brings it up without really any kind of schedule. We just sometimes will play the lounge music.
I
think it's more so.
It's a vibe.
It is. And I think it's more so when we have conversations that feel like they might be interesting to other people that aren't really related to the Hornets. It's the pre-show stuff. David was even talking about the lounge, if you will. Like we do so many shows before we do the actual show. And that lounge allows us to share some of those thoughts with you. We talked about best fast food chain coffee. We talked about chicken wings. But now we're going to hop into the basketball wings, specifically Gordon Hayward, who is a controversial topic here in Charlotte, maybe even has kind of shifted more towards, everybody's in agreement. They need to trade Gordon Hayward because that contract, it has just been too much given the lack of production because he's just not been available for the Charlotte Hornets team. But now we're in this weird predicament where they can't bring anybody else in via free agency. And they're going to have to rely on him at this point. Whether you like him or not, he's going to play a big part of the team as currently constructed. Of course, you always have a trade that could potentially take place. And that would be a salary shedding move, trying to bring somebody else to maybe help this team right now. Yes, there's still a possibility of that happening. But again, as of right now, you're relying on your starting small forward, Gordon Hayward, staying healthy as much as he possibly can, or else you're going to have to go to maybe Kelly Oubre, or Jalen McDaniels is going to have to step up a lot more than we've even talked about, and we're all kind of fans of Jalen McDaniels. Let's talk about Gordon just as far as the availability goes here, Doug, and I'll send it to you first. Is that like one of the biggest keys to this season? If they don't make any trade, where does that rank on the importance meter going into next season when we talk about wins or losses?
Well, I think it's important, but it's also as important that not only Gordon Hayward be available, but he be more productive. I mean, that's what we didn't talk enough about because availability always seems to be the issue with him. He's owed, going back to the contract situation, he's owed $31 million this year. He'll be owed $30 million next season, and then after that, he'll be a free agent. So maybe trade discussions don't really pick up until he's on the expiring part of that deal. Last season, he played 49 games. The season before that, he played 44. And the season before that, his last in Boston, he was only available for 52 games. So, that's the issue. But if you look at his points per game, in his first season in Charlotte, he was at 19.6. That dropped to 15.9 and more games and less field goal attempts, slightly less on 3-point percentage. It dropped from 41.5 to 39. So his production has to be better. He was a little bit too quiet last season, I thought, at times. And now we don't know exactly how this is all going to shake out, this rotation. I had my rotation projections, which I can throw up on the screen.
So I have Gordon. Share it. Yep. Okay, let's see it.
I've got Gordon Hayward at 31 right now, behind him at Kelly Oubre. But if Gordon Hayward suffers another major injury and is out for 20 plus games, then yeah, I mean, without assuming that Miles Bridges is not going to be in this rotation, we don't know that for a fact, but we're just accounting for that at this point. You're looking at some combination of Kelly Oubre and Cody Martin and Jalen McDaniels filling in for Gordon Hayward, and that's going to be a serious detriment to their playoff chances.
Yeah, and the problem is, guys, someone would be willing to take on that Gordon Hayward contract more so than probably the Terry Rozier, just because it's less years. But it's going to have to be a team that's basically bottoming out, right? And they're looking to shed something else. And what are you going to get of value back that's going to help you actually win? I mean, is it going to be worth doing that rather than just throwing them out there? Like, we know Mitch and the organization likes Gordon Hayward. I mean, I think everyone does when he's healthy, but that's the big thing. So I wonder if they just completely put a new plan in place for him, like not playing back-to-backs, like limiting the number of games he plays in a week, minutes watch. I don't know. But at this point, especially without Miles Bridges, they almost have to focus on him because he's such a big piece filling in for when Miles goes out. And think back to like 2 years ago, they really didn't even it feels like they haven't even played together that much. Like this new version of Miles, right? Like the guy that took a jump last year played with Gordon Hayward. And so, they're going to have, they're almost forced into depending on him now. And so I think they've got to figure out a way to keep him on the court.
No, I think there's a couple good points. Excellent job. No, I think there were a couple. Like the first one talking about if you are trading Gordon, if we're just specifically talking about this season, then it is going to be tough to get something back in return to help them win games, because you do view that as, okay, this guy's getting older and he's not been healthy the last couple of years. So why would I give you something up of consequence as soon as this season in order to help you win right now? And so that's going to be tough for the Charlotte Hornets to do. And then there's, you talked about the availability maybe kind of like limiting him, but Doug, you wanted to talk about the trade thing first?
Well, tough, but not impossible. I mean, there's a scenario where he comes into this season and gets back to that first season level of production or higher, has a rebound type of season, stays healthy, and then you approach the trade deadline and you go to teams and you go, look, Gordon's fine. He's playing better. And if you trade for him, you only have to deal with the final year of his contract. You're essentially trading for an expiring contract at that point. There could be a better case at the trade deadline than there is now. I have zero expectation that they're going to be able to move him at this point until the trade deadline, and if he has a rebound season.
So, right, that's funny because...
And wouldn't they also have to attach a draft pick or 2 or 3? I mean, I don't know. It depends on the package, but it feels like you're still going to have to pay someone to take him.
Well, depending on, again, it's all going to depend on the leverage that the other team has. If they are desperate for what Gordon Hayward brings, which is, stability on the wing, somebody who can pass it, shoot it, can defend. I mean, that's going to be valuable to a playoff team if they expect him to be healthy and produce.
Who is the playoff team that is falling short of expectations at the trade deadline, and they're desperate, and then they see Gordon Hayward, who might have played 30 games of the 40 or 35 of the 40, whatever, mostly staying healthy, putting up pretty good numbers, and then saying, all right, we need to win now. We need a wing to score in the half court or just be a decent basketball player when healthy. He's playing enough games. So, we'll give you this. And we need Gordon to help us try to get back on track for the postseason expectations. And one other thing I wanted to mention, too, just talking about like the shutting down of Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, because I just want to say real quick, we had a chat on here. Just want to shout out the Real Grandmama for saying, for chatting, should Clifford load manage Gordon?
Yeah. Okay. So that's what David was talking about. James Borrego mentioned that going into last season, they did not load manage him whatsoever. No. Gordon Hayward was playing all the time. In fact, we got to a pretty significant point in the season where Gordon, I believe, was leading the team in minutes played. Old Gordon Hayward, injured often, Gordon Hayward was leading the team in minutes played. I think I have that right, at least top 2. And then, of course, he crashes and burns and doesn't play for the rest of the season. And Borrego wasn't doing the load manage thing. But
because it's ridiculous. Well, hold on, Walker. Right. It's ridiculous to say you're going to load manage Gordon Hayward. You can load manage stars on your team when you have a lot of talent. Like, you can't load manage when you don't have a lot of talent.
Well, but that was part of the reason, too. That was part of the allure of Kelly Oubre. Hey, when Gordon goes down, Kelly's going to be able to help us. And if that was part of the process, then why can't he help us every other game when you shut Gordon down, like every 5 or 6 contests? And that would be more manageable. There are ways to do this, but they just flat out refuse to do any of it. But now the point is, Doug, like your point is very much here this season. Like now it's, where do you go to now, right? Like we already saw the Kelly Oubre thing. We can't do that. So when we talk about load managing Gordon, They can't afford to more so this year, assuming no Miles Bridges. Now they certainly can't afford to do it, which leaves you in a pickle, because then if he gets hurt, then you can't trade him, and your trade deadline scenario is kind of shot too.
Load managing Gordon Hayward is ridiculous for a lot of reasons. One, because this team is not talented enough to really sustain that kind of load management. I mean, I think it's ridiculous anyway. These too many people are being load managed. Just like you're getting paid $30 million. I think that the team should be able to play you as much as possible. Well, but I think you have to roll the dice and just go, all right, we're going to play you like a star player that is making this much money. And also, I'm listening to this Jake Fisher podcast. Please don't aggregate his podcast, which we're now going to aggregate. We're going fishing. That's right.
Every time.
That's right, folks. We're going out on the lake. We're firing up the boat. We're going fishing. Oh, I got a big one.
Yeah, got a
on his podcast, Jake Fisher said that Gordon Hayward is not a leader on this team. It's not that he's a bad leader, or like that he's somebody that's like discouraging in the locker room.
He's chilling.
He's just chilling. He's a lunch
not
pail.
Rocking the boat. Yeah.
Right. I'm coming to work to do my job. Yeah. And so I think there's an argument to be had that, hey, if a team's going to invest that much money into you, I blame the team, not Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is what he is.
Always.
But you shouldn't invest that much money into a player if they're not going to give you anything in the locker room, if they're not going to help move this team forward. That's not how you get to the playoffs. That's not how you win in the playoffs. You got to have folks that are all bought into the whole team thing. But if he's not going to do that, here's my point. If he's not going to do that, then don't load manage him. Like, what are you if you're not a leader? We can't play you a lot, but we have to pay you $30 million. Like, what the hell are you?
Yeah, but Doug, you talked about insanity being the definition of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Like, if we're going to continue to play Gordon Hayward into the ground each year, and then he only plays 40 games each season, then maybe we change that up, especially if there are ways to every 5 games, we're going to play somebody else every 6, every 7, something like just give me something to alleviate the load on Gordon. And plus there's research to suggest that this stuff actually helps the stars. Hey, maybe playing 82 games a year going into the postseason, especially if you are a playoff team.
How about the fans? Does it help the fans?
It helps if you're winning more. Well, that's the Kawhi Leonard debate. You know, Kawhi Leonard has very big differences with San Antonio medical professionals, and then goes to Toronto. He gets to sit out every once in a while, and then they win a championship. That made Toronto fans pretty damn happy, right? So when you're talking about postseason and later season success, because in part you load managed earlier and your best players were able to play later in the season, that stuff matters a lot. Go ahead and sacrifice a game every handful or more or so that you can be healthy later on. But to circle it all back for this year, it's going to be harder because now you don't have Miles, maybe, and now they didn't make another move except, do the same thing, bring Cody Martin back for $8 million a season.
And we just don't know the Clifford piece of this. Like, it doesn't seem like he would rely on Jaden McDaniels, Oubre, whomever. It feels like he would really want to lean on Gordon Hayward, much like Borrego did. So I don't know. We'll see what their approach is. They've had to retool so much this year, and there's this offseason, and they're still doing it. So there's a lot to be decided, but they got to work with what they got, and it hasn't been working how they've been doing with Gordon Hayward. It's not the same injury. It's something different every time we look out there.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if it's just like, I don't know his practice schedule, if he's running hard in practice or how hard they're practicing, whatever, but they're going to have to figure out to do something, because it just doesn't seem like they're going to be able to make any waves without a healthy Gordon Hayward. You're just running too darn hard in practice. That's the problem.
Don't hustle.
Just practicing too hard.
Hustling never helped anybody.
But doesn't it feel like this team, getting back to that leadership thing real quick, sorry, Walker. I mean, this is not his team. I mean, this is LaMelo Ball's team.
And partly it's LaMelo Ball's team to have in the future, but I would say Terry Rozier is probably your biggest voice, your leader in the locker room at this point.
More than Gordon, at least.
LaMelo hasn't assumed that role, and I don't know that it's an interesting question, and one that I don't know that we're really going to be able to answer. We just sort of have to wait and see. But is LaMelo the type of player that assumes that locker room leadership role, or does he grow into that? He's super young. You can't walk into a locker room at 19 years old with grown men who have been in the league for a little bit. The Hornets don't have too many of those players, but they have some, like Terry. Terry's been around for a little bit. You can't walk into a locker room and just immediately assume that role. So, but will he is a big question, I think.
Yeah, let's talk more about Gordon Hayward in the next segment. But first, let's try to get to some of these questions. Doug, do you want to scroll and get to some of the questions and comments that we have in the Hive Live?
Well, we've got one interesting one that I think would be fun to actually address in an extended conversation. So I'm going to hold that one. A lot of questions about my beard, folks. I shaved the beard. I'm sorry. It's like I've scared my child. My child is crying because I've shaved the beard. I didn't realize it was going to be so upsetting, both to the. I don't know who is more upsetting to, my child who actually, cried tears, or this chat who is just really upset. The beard grows back, folks. It's fine. It's going to grow back.
Is it weird? I didn't even notice it like that. I mean, it may be a little.
When did you shave? This week?
Yesterday.
Yeah. Oh my God! I feel like that should have been in on chat or something.
I gotta prep. Gotta prep the audience.
You should have done a Hive Live for it. You should have shaved and put that shit on YouTube. You should have done it.
I gotta prep the audience next time. Anyway, so there is one. I've got one question ready to roll, but let's do it. Let's do it on the other side.
All right, I was going to take a drink, but that's fine. We will pause. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Don't go to sleep on the Hornets just yet.
We'll continue to talk about Doug's beard, how different he looks. Also, we're going fishing, talking about Jake Fisher's, I guess, inquiry about Gordon Hayward not being a good leader. Does it matter? Plus, we have some other interesting comments and questions to get to because of you, and we appreciate you for that. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. You can find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's second half of the Major League Baseball regular season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sport wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And betonline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. You can head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. Bet online, where the game starts. We'll talk a little bit more about Gordon Hayward, going fishing, all that good stuff coming up next. Locked On Hornets.
You are listening to the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Main character for American Psycho was Patrick Bateman, which really confused me. I always thought that Jason Bateman was Patrick Bateman and that Patrick Bateman was Jason Bateman.
It's time for more of the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Hive Live Fun Friday, where you are writing in your questions and comments. And I want to get to the one, Doug, you said you had something that was interesting. Should we talk about the leadership aspect first, or do you want to get to this question?
let's do that first, because we have Rima in the chat, maybe a first-time chatter. I haven't seen that name pop up. So if you're a first-time, let me just say, Topo, welcome to the show. Currently missing Marvin Williams' impact in the locker room.
That was one thing. Yeah, well, the locker room used to be real tight knit. It was the one thing we had. In fact, I remember when Doug used to say, "Bleep all that. Who cares? Like, give me some talent."
Yeah,
because that used to be. Yeah,
they loved each other.
They
suck.
Yeah, Kemba Walker, Marvin Williams. You had a whole bunch of good locker room leaders, except we weren't getting the postseason except like once every 4 years or something. So, yeah, it used to be very tight knit, and I don't know that it's not.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how close it is. We know that Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball were good friends. We know Terry is also somebody that is embraced and vice versa. But if Gordon, I don't know how much they're friends. I don't know, I guess, the PJ relationship, some of these other players. But yeah, like we could use some more veterans. So the leadership aspect with Gordon, I will say, yes, it would be nice for Gordon to be a leader, but he's not. And I don't know how much I care about that. Like yes, I would love for him to be a leader. I'd love for him to be a mentor and take everybody under his wing and be that vocal guy that says, hey, let's win this one for the Gipper. And then they go out in the second half and perform extremely well. I would love all of that. At the same time, you're right. I'm not surprised to hear this. I'm not surprised. Whoa, really? Jake Fisher said Gordon Hayward's not a leader. Like, I figured that was probably the case. And to your guys' point, Terry Rozier always felt a little bit more like his team. LaMelo certainly. Going into his third season, you're starting to get at least closer to having that veteran moniker. Yeah, I mean, Gordon, just stay healthy, stay on the court, give me 15 points per game, do it on 47 and 40 splits, and I'm all right with that.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you that it's already baked into the cake. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's why I really put this on management. But it does matter that you have enough leadership in the locker room. What's the big buzzword around the Steve Clifford hire? Clifford has mentioned this word. I think Kupchak mentioned this word. And I think that's it's a reflection of the previous era. That word is accountability. And if you're not getting enough accountability among the players, then you really have to seek it out in your coach. And I think this organization didn't feel like they were getting enough of that from Borrego. They didn't have enough of it in the locker room. And that's how you get blown out of a play-in game 2 consecutive seasons. So it looks like it's going to have to come from the coaching staff a little bit. And also we're getting some more mentions of my beard. Corey saying everyone with smooth chins, beware the beard. That's really why I shaved the beard. I wanted to prove to everyone that I don't have a chiseled butt chin, as Walker coined the term, chiseled butt chin. But I have is chiseled butt chin potential. You can see I got the little crevice there. If I stopped eating donuts, if I just cut the donuts out of my routine, I could have a chiseled butt chin.
I would have saved that clip of David's reaction to you saying that, because David was a skeptic at the very least.
What I have is CBCP, chiseled butt chin potential.
You're not feeling it, David.
It's well, let me just jump out of Gordon Hayward for 1 second. I think it's hard for him to assume a leadership role. I mean, there's different type of leadership, right? But he just hasn't been there, like physically been there a lot. You know what I mean? Like, you had the COVID season, you had injuries. A lot of times, I don't even know if he was traveling with the team. Certainly wasn't practicing. Like, the core of this team, once Melo came on board, they were forming, as they were playing together, as they were going through these last 2 years. And Hayward was missing in action for a lot of that. The thing is, like, he's never been that guy, really. I mean, even when he came here, but he still played well. It's not like he can't be effective and not and just be not just another guy, but he doesn't have to be the main vocal leader of this team to have impact on it and to be effective. He just got to stay healthy. He played well with LaMelo Ball before he got hurt. He played well with everybody out there. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's one of those things. It's like, he's not a leader. He's not a vocal leader on this team, but it doesn't mean he doesn't have any impact, or he can't.
Yeah, a couple of things too. Like, when we talk about accountability, it's maybe Gordon Hayward isn't holding everybody else accountable. Maybe he's not the guy that is doing that, but it feels like, other than health-wise, which it's not his fault. I mean, it's not like he's, playing. It's not like he's skateboarding and then he breaks his ankle or something like that. Right. I mean, it's all basketball related, and he just can't stay healthy. Like, that's just what it is. But he's still putting in the work. I mean, he's still doing all of that. So as far as example goes, leading by example, quote unquote, that's what Gordon Hayward is kind of doing, at least.
You got to play. You got to play. You got to actually.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. You got to play to lead by example.
And that's fair. That's totally fair. But yeah, like, talking about Gordon Hayward, being on the court too. When we talk about his performance also, I was looking at his stats from just last season. I think we also found out, the play is starting to get older, right? Gordon is getting older, clearly. And I think you saw that last year. His usage percentage, it was lower than what it was his first season with Charlotte, but it wasn't like historically low for Gordon Hayward standards. He's had seasons in his past where he had lower usage rates. The field goal attempts went down overall. The 3-point shot attempts did not. You're kind of seeing his transformation into being that old guy where we might just have him camp out on the 3-point line, be a good 3-point shooter, every once in a while try to take advantage of somebody that he can take to the rack or get to his spot in the mid-range game. But last year, you saw the assist percentage. That was actually historically low, because Rick Bonnell coined the term for Gordon being a connector on this team, which is valuable. Somebody that also not only has the scoring ability, but can move it, can run through the offense. I mean, that is valuable. But his assist percentage was actually one of the lowest of his entire career. And I wonder just how much, all right, Gordon's kind of staying on the 3-point line. He's going to hit a lot of shots because he's still an efficient basketball player. But as far as the moving goes, all the young gun, all the young blood stuff, That ain't part of his game anymore. And we saw that last year. Now we're talking about adding an injury onto that again. Yeah, like we're going to see a different role as some of these young guys mature and get better. And Gordon is getting further away from what his prime was and what his ceiling was every second that passes by.
All right, are you ready for this question that we have on the chat that I've been teasing for a while now? So Joey on the chat saying, how can the Hornets constantly be near or over the cap, but the elite teams keep adding top-notch players on a regular basis? David, go ahead. You say
that's a great question. It baffles me. It's amazing. You see teams like the Warriors or contenders or the Heat constantly adding people when they're at or near the cap.
I have several. Walker, go ahead. Walker, go ahead, because you seem like you have some thoughts.
Well, no, I have a ton of thoughts on this. We could do 3 shows on just these thoughts, and then I'll pass it on to you guys. With the Charlotte, it's all about when you have these guys that are making the most money on the team. People are going to get angry, but like the Gordon Hayward contract, never a fan of it in the first place. It just didn't seem like that was the right time to make that move. But everybody's saying we're a small market team. You got to pay in order to get these guys in your small market franchise. Okay, it's great. True. At some point, simply a bad contract is a bad contract. Doesn't matter if you're small market or big market. A bad contract is a bad contract. If Gordon Hayward is making over 30, being over 30 himself, and then you need that to help you get to the playoffs and contend when all these other teams have better rookie scale contract guys or people that are making that much money that are just clearly better than Gordon Hayward at that point in their career, then that's going to bring you back. If not that season, then at least the season after. We did it with Terry Rozier. If Terry Rozier is your second best player, then that's not a good thing as far as your postseason success goes. So what happens is those teams that are at the cap are always operating around it. The money is tied up in better players. Now, the other thing too is the Jimmy Butler Miami Heat thing, like the Heat culture thing, as much as we like to make fun of it, and I'm, raising my hand high, it rings true. Like Jimmy chose Miami when they were in clearly a worse situation than what Philadelphia was, and that would never happen with Charlotte. Right? Like, choosing the Heat organization when they did not have as much talent. You talk about the cap, man. They were up against it. It's amazing that they operated the way they did and got to a point where they're constantly contending. But they're also South Beach. They're also
state tax.
Yeah. Like Riley, you have all that stuff working out for you. And so, yes, small market teams might have to sacrifice to go after these borderline all-stars, but a bad contract sometimes is just a bad contract, and they hurt you just as much as any other team.
So yes, desirability is obviously a factor. The locale, the tax desirability, the winning desirability, as you mentioned, the culture there, that's obviously a factor. But the way these teams are able to be at or near the cap and then acquire talent, a couple of things. They've got enough depth because they draft well. Now, that's something that plagued the Hornets for many, many, many years and would just like domino effect into the rest of their decisions. They've cleaned a lot of that up, and they have a development system. Like the idea that you sign Cody Martin to that kind of deal where he gets $8 million per, and then you've got Jalen McDaniels on like $1.5 million. Those are like good, solid rotation players at reasonable prices for the market. That's how you shore up enough money that you can go after certain people when you're at or near the cap, and then to go over it, it's because you've drafted well. You could extend PJ Washington, you can extend LaMelo Ball into the future, and that's what Golden State has done to build their team. They draft so well that they can also then make trades for guys like Wiggins to go towards the luxury cap. But the final piece, and this is the key to answering Joey's question, the reason that teams can be at or near near or over the cap and still acquire players is because ownership has a willingness to get to the luxury tax and pay the luxury tax. That's how they do it. They trade for players or they extend the players they have, and that puts them into the luxury tax. This team so far in its existence since Michael took over the team from Robert Johnson has not been interested in getting anywhere near paying that luxury tax. And until that changes, the Hornets will not be major players in free agent. You take away all the desirability, take away all of those other factors. It doesn't matter unless you're willing to show up at the meeting with a sack full of cash.
Yeah, those teams are a lot closer to winning and challenging for winning than I think are the
for
Hornets,
a reason.
As well.
For a reason.
No, but so that's the chicken or the egg thing, because we've talked about not going to the luxury tax and then being
the chicken
okay
wing
with
or
Michael
the egg
deciding
thing?
not to. Yeah, the chicken wing or the egg thing. What comes first? Is it the chicken wing or is it the egg? Who has who? But we've talked about that where we've understood why Michael didn't want to go in the luxury tax, because this is not a playoff contending team, and they've at least made comments. I'm not saying we know for sure. I kept saying that about this Miles Bridges acquisition or the new contract, that we're going to figure out if there is a point where you don't pay Miles Bridges, then I am all in on jumping on Michael Jordan. But then we had the felony domestic violence charge against Miles, and then you could extend this question out even more so, because and that's why I talk about the importance of draft picks too, Doug. Like Golden State is the clear example, and they're the outlier because nobody's ever going to do what Golden State ever did again. Okay, we're going to draft the 2 best shooters of all time, maybe, certainly one. We're going to draft a generational defensive player, and boom, we're ready to go. And then Kevin Durant comes into our team because of the calorie spike, if you will, as we've coined it on this podcast. But Portland, Doug, I mean, you've talked about, hey, give me 50 wins, give me to the playoffs. Portland drafts Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. Boom, boom, Western Conference Finals. Utah, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. They find those guys in the draft. I mean, I think they trade for them on draft night, but you get the idea. They take them to the playoffs. So you got to hit your draft picks, which is, why I'm a little reluctant to get rid of some of these guys. And then once you hit on those, do you show a willingness to go into the luxury tax? And if you do not, that's where, like, I destroyed Milwaukee when they didn't want to go into the luxury tax because they didn't want to pay Malcolm Brogdon and let him go after a 50, 40, 90 season. Then they're like, and then they trade for other people. Then they go into the luxury tax and then they fix that mistake. But at the time, I mean, that's why you go into the luxury tax, to win a championship when you have a contending team. So, yeah, like what comes first, the chicken wing or the egg? That's the question. I pose.
And I've always been on that side of it, Walker. Like, if you're not challenging for anything, if you're not really trying to do something, don't waste your time going into the luxury tax. But I'm almost ready to jump on the other side of that argument because, look, what are you trying to do? Yeah, I mean, we're tired of sitting here. At least you're going to try and do stuff. And I guess they would say, well, we are trying to do stuff. We're bringing in guys like Gordon Hayward. We're giving them a lot of money. We gave a lot of money to Nick Batum. We gave a lot of money to Terry Rozier. So, like, it's such a double-sided thing because on one side, everyone says they're so cheap. But on the other side, you say, well, they are paying these guys a lot of money, and they're not always the best choices. So, it's really an organization-wide thing. It starts with drafting, the development of those guys, and being able to have young, talented players on team-friendly deals, and those be your guys, right? I mean, that's also a key. They had the chance, they had that young core. I think they were going to bring Miles back and everything stayed as it was. I mean, I think they were steadfast about that. They obviously had no other plan B, for the offseason. That was their plan, to secure their guys. So they just got thrown a curveball. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating to watch. I feel you, because you're looking around. Charlotte is never going to be the landing spot for, a PJ Tucker type guy, someone who's looking to contribute to getting a ring, or a guy of value looking to go on a team friendly deal. They're not coming here just to mentor, a rising superstar. You're going to have to show them more than that.
Yeah. So let's get to more leadership stuff maybe too, but also just some of the other conversations maybe surrounding ownership here. But you want to get to some comments and questions, Doug, from the listeners?
I want to get to this third segment, honestly, because I've got this receipt that I want to show. It's just a wild ride. This is a lot we need to get to. We're at the 40-minute mark, which is fine. We've had a great time, but I want to get to some of this. I want to get to some of this other stuff. Also, I watched Stranger Things. I watched the first episode. Okay. I won't have any spoilers, but David and I love to talk about on-screen basketball and how. David, have you seen that? Have you seen that episode?
Yeah, I've watched the whole season, so it's been a while since I watched the first one, but I think I remember the basketball scene enough because they're always good.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Third segment coming up next, Locked On Hornets podcast.
Don't go to sleep on the Hornets just yet.
If you want to hear Pamela Anderson, the Charlotte Hornets, Stranger Things, all mentioned in a segment, find out how we do all of that next. Locked On Hornets.
Is Locked On Hornets.
Develop winning habits. You know what winning habits are? Scoring things in the box score. That's what winning habits are. You compete.
Rebounds, assists.
Yeah, when you compete,
points.
You get rebounds. When you compete, you get assists. When you compete, you score points. It's not about effort. It's about competing. Hey, you wanted me back on the show, baby.
I got you, Doug.
You wanted me back on the show. This is me.
It's time for more of the Locked On Hornets podcast.
We have a lot of non-basketball things to get to, some basketball related, just not Charlotte Hornets or NBA related. I wanted to finish up those thoughts as we move on, just very quickly. Going back to the leadership thing, we talk about mentorship being important, but maybe it doesn't have to come from Gordon Hayward. I think that's where we get into the importance of maybe bringing an Isaiah Thomas back. So if he were to be somebody that could come in and LaMelo Ball loves Isaiah Thomas, put it out on Twitter who he wants to have as that backup point guard. You're not going to pay Isaiah that much. It's going to be the vet min, and you're going to bring him in, and he's not going to play a whole lot of minutes. Maybe he does here and there, just kind of like he did at the last half of last season. Maybe that's where you get your leadership fix. The other thing, too, though, I'm glad they brought in somebody like that, though, because remember, we were talking about Ish Smith serving that role when he came on early in the season last year, because he was your backup point guard where we fell in love with all of his comments, how you have to lead in different ways. You can't just have this overarching theme of leadership and then apply it to everybody involved. We really liked his nuanced answer of LaMelo has to be handled different than Miles Bridges, who has to be handled differently than some of these other guys. And Ish seemed very real, right? And then they traded him, and then they didn't have that person. Remember, they got back Montrezl Harrell, who, leads by being 110% on the court, and he's going to fight for you, which I would argue is a form, but maybe not I don't know about the accountability, whatever. Like Isaiah Thomas is that guy to be in your ear and help you out. And so maybe that is the argument for Isaiah. There is that familiarity. And even if he doesn't have to go on the court all that much, he is going to see it some, and you're not going to have to pay a whole lot for it. Maybe that's how you get your fix.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, this team just seems so far from having any kind of, voices in the locker room that have like playoff winning. Like the coach has never won a playoff series as a head coach. A lot of young guys. Gordon Hayward doesn't want to be a leader. Where is it going to come from? It seems like they've just got to pull it out of thin air. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
Maybe it is LaMelo. Maybe that's the next step. That's something to watch for.
Well, the question is, can his greatness, as he continues to get better and better, just give them that playoff experience via just carrying the team? Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Teams have to help you lead sometimes. And, if there's not enough talent, then maybe he doesn't get that opportunity. What do you want to get to, Doug? It's you. There's a smorgasbord, if you will, of things to get to. What do you want to get to here to start? Smorgasbord.
Well, I mean, I did have this thing. So I got this book online. I've been brushing up on my Hornets history. So I got Rick Bonnell's book that he wrote after the first playoff series win against Boston, called Sharpening the Stinger. And I just bought it on Amazon. So you never know like where it's coming from, used bookstores, that kind of thing. And I'm just thumbing through it. And I found this receipt inside the book that I have to assume came from the person who purchased the book for the first time, and then it just made its way to a used bookstore or something, and then on to Amazon. But I'm gonna read this for the audio listeners too. But I'm gonna put it up on the screen. But this is an amazing receipt. First of all, it's from a media play that used to exist. Media plays out of business.
South Boulevard.
This was Woodlawn Market Plaza. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know where that is. I lived in Charlotte for a while, but I don't know.
Down my way. Yeah.
I don't know where the Woodlawn Market Plaza. Anyway, a media play. All right. This person bought this book, which is listed weirdly on the receipt as ABC/Charlotte Hornet, CHE, for $2.94. Great deal on a book that has been just a wealth of information on those early Hornets years that I've shared on everyhornetsboxscore.com. By the way, my Substack, you can subscribe for free right now, everyhornetsboxscore.com. But let's look at what else this person purchased. They purchased Peanuts, a VHS of Peanuts. You're in the Super Bowl now, Charlie Brown, for $288.
I didn't see that. Knowing what's coming, I did
right.
not see
Just
the
keep that in your mind. Okay. Hold that in your mind. File it away. As I tell you what this person's bought next. Kathy Ireland's swimsuit calendar for $8.99.
Yeah.
Tanya Tucker's video hits, which I think is a country music star of the time. I did not know who that was. This was from 1995, by the way. I did find the date. Yeah. It says reserve your copy of Cinderella today, coming the fall of 1995. And then finally, something that's listed as Playboy Pam Anderson for $16.99. So I had this discussion with some friends of mine. I'm interested to know what you think. So this says Playboy Pam Anderson, $16.99. Is that an edition of the magazine Playboy featuring Pam Anderson for $16.99 in the year 1995? Or we know this person also bought several other VHSs. Is this a VHS tape special Playboy Pam Anderson?
I think that's what that is.
$16.99 seems like a lot for a magazine
in 95. Yes. Yeah.
Does it even though, like, even if it's a special edition and Pam Anderson at the top of her popularity, I'm going magazine.
See, this is it's so funny that both of you bring up the exact points that were in the group chat that I had. One person said, no, special edition. It would have been a lot more. The other person says, VHS tapes got to be $16.99. VHS tapes much more expensive back in 1995. But definitely reserve your copy of Cinderella today, coming the fall of 1995. But all total, this person spent $47.48 at Media Play, which honestly, knowing Media Play, if anyone remembers Media Play, that person got out of there with a steal because that place overcharged everything.
I remember, man, Media Play was just exiting as, I might have been like 10, 12 years old when the last Media Play ever existed. Really cool logo. I don't know if we're going to go iconic logo, but I liked it.
No.
Didn't you have like the face with was the music in the background or something like that?
I don't know, but all I saw were dollar signs. Whenever I walked in a Media Play, I knew they were about to take me for a ride. But I mean, talk about a ride. I mean, this person just had a night. We don't know who this person is. No information except for the Media Play phone.
Well, he's got something for everybody. He's got a little something for the kids. He's got a little something for himself. He's got a little something for
He's got some Charlotte Hornet.
Yeah.
My question is, this kind of screams like person going through puberty, you know?
You think this was a teenager?
Yeah. I mean, we have Charlie Brown.
No. Whoa, I'm scrolling down here. Oh, this is Walker, David.
Yeah. Is that a highlighted? Is it that Cinderella thing highlighted? You were definitely going to go purchase that? Yeah. Like, to me, this screams like, I'm 10, 11, 12 years old. I'm about to go through it.
Got some birthday money. Got some birthday money in the card.
$50. And then, I like sports. I'm also getting interested in this Pamela Anderson thing. Plus, you would go after the stereotypical Playboy issue, right? You're not going after just some normal magazine. You're going to get the special one.
It's true. Yeah, they did get the special one. Here's what's the last thing that I find interesting on this receipt is that whoever this person was, the total came out $47.48. The person gave the cashier $45 in cash, which is listed. And it wasn't enough. So then another $5 listed. Like, what was happening there? What was that? That was an awkward exchange with the cashier.
Was there a pause? Here's 45. It's not enough. Here's 5. Now we're okay. Yeah. Now I can walk away with just a haul.
That fell out of the book as I'm just like flipping through the pages, fell out of the book and into my lap. And wow, I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. I had a great time.
Did you try to maybe do a little bit of Facebook stalking when you saw who sold, or was Amazon doesn't reveal where this is?
It was a used bookstore. It definitely wasn't the person that owned it giving me that book. No.
Yeah.
Sure. If you know this person, if you're around in 95 and you were
if someone came over to your house and said, listen, look at what I got. And they open the bag and you see you're in the Super Bowl now, Charlie Brown, an issue of Playboy featuring Pamela Anderson, Tanya Tucker's greatest country hits.
Which are probably not, giving enough
and
credit
Sharpening
to,
the Stinger by Rick Bonnell. Fantastic book to go along.
What's the price on the cover there, Doug? What's the price on the cover of that book? It's not $2.94.
$19.95 retail price for the book.
Man, huge
worth
deal.
every penny. Honestly, the GOAT Rick Bonnell. It's a fantastic look into that team. A lot of drama in the early Hornets years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent receipt. We didn't even get to the Tanya Tucker stuff, who I don't know who she is, but at the same time, a country music album going along with everything else purchased there. It's fantastic. You wanted to get to Stranger Things. I've not seen the new season, but you also wanted to get to the basketball scenes. We do I have adopted what you guys like to talk about, which is fake basketball players, the actors, actresses, whether it be shows, whether it be movies, how well they actually play basketball. You guys like to talk about that, so let's dive in, Doug. What did you want to share first?
Well, I watched Stranger Things season 4. No spoilers, don't worry. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just watched the first episode last night, and it features a basketball scene. And David and I always like to joke about the basketball being portrayed on screen. It's always awful. People are dribbling too high. They're taking set shots. The two-handed drill, like there's some two-handed dribbling sometimes. Like it doesn't make any sense. Everything looks awkward. I do have to say, though, David, I don't know how much you remember. The basketball is not terrible, though.
No.
There is one particular character who they lift up as like the star of the basketball team, and he's the worst basketball player. Like he looks like
point guard, right?
He's the point guard, but he's not like it's all very awkward. Not a great shooter. One of the main characters takes a jump shot, and it looks like a good jump shot. That's a guy who knows how to play basketball.
What's the kid's name? Is it Caleb, the actor on Stranger Things? I mean, it's one of the main guys, right? I'm blanking on his name. Is that what you're talking about? One of the main guys
characters
takes a shot. Yeah. He's not bad. He's pretty good.
I don't know.
You talk about
there's too many shows. I can't keep anyone's character name.
What's his actual name on the show? Seriously,
what's
his actual name on the show? I just watched all 4 seasons and I cannot remember his actual name on the show.
Because there's too many shows. There is there is streaming face blindness for me now. Character name blindness because there are so many shows. I can't keep anyone's name in my head.
I remember 11, Mike, of course.
Lucas.
Eddie is a big Lucas. Oh my God. Okay, we know that. But yeah, now you want to talk about leadership? You want to talk about leadership, Doug? You are about to see a leadership turn from that point guard, the likes of which we have never seen. This guy, I think he's a high school senior. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but he does basically lead the entire town on a rampage at one point in this season. He sparks a lot of enthusiasm. The whole basketball team, again, I'm treading lightly here, but just when you get to the moment of the season where you see the basketball teams hang out, that's a joy. That's a nice little surprise for you, Doug. But I agree with you. The point guard there, his on-court skills, I'm not sure. I don't know how many recruiting letters he got sent to Hawkins High School. You know what I'm saying? But he's certainly the vocal and emotional leader of that team. And he plays a big part in the season. So if you're ready to see more of him, get ready.
Danny on the chat saying that the kid who plays Lucas in real life, his name in real life
Caleb.
is Caleb McLaughlin. He was in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game, so it makes sense.
Oh, we should have known that. Known that.
And so that's what I'm asking for from these shows. If you're going to show basketball, don't just go scraping for any old extra. Like, let's find some people. Let's do the basketball justice. Unlike One Tree Hill and the Charlotte Bobcats, when none of that looked good. I mean, come on.
He could play though. He's a good player.
That's fine. We have some other stuff on the chat if you're interested in our conversation about the receipt. We have, let's see, Seth saying, was Pam Anderson still on Home Improvement in 1995? That's a great question. Unsure.
Wow. I forgot all about that.
She was worldwide at that point. She may have not been on there anymore.
A lot of people saying Charlotte Hornet is very funny that it would be listed on the receipt as Charlotte Hornet. Danny saying that's the Dr. Steve Brule pronunciation. Roger coming in with some expertise here. The Pamela Anderson tape was in 1996. magazine for sure. Well, I don't know if they would have sold that particular tape.
Well,
I was
that's the
thinking
thing.
more.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I don't think they would have.
That
That
was
would have
not
been
authorized by Playboy.
not
That
even
was
in
a
Media
different
Play.
tape.
Media Play would have done anything for your money, but not even Media Play would have done that. I was thinking more of like sort of a special VHS or whatever that, magazine
Yes.
special.
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, not the tape. No, that's not the one I would imagine is sold in media.
And it wasn't
play.
going for $16.99. I'll tell you that much.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
That's it for the receipt.
That's it for the receipt.
Okay.
That's it for the basketball talk. We
Go
have some
ahead.
people wanting to know your opinion, David, on the new MBO 1 release from.
They're coming out in about
from
10
LaMelo.
minutes, guys. If you're watching live,
Wow.
head on over to Puma.
I saw a dip. I saw a dip in our viewership. People are now
Yeah.
bouncing
Yeah.
to. Is it
Yeah,
this one?
yeah.
Do I have it on the screen now?
That's
Is it this one?
That's it. That's it. I
So
like
these are
it. It's a
let me-
mashup of basically every version they've put out so far.
Interesting. Yeah, there's the
Mhm.
space. There's the teal, the green from the Rick and Morty, the red from the Rick and Morty. It's it's mashup. It's very 90s.
Yeah, it is very loud.
Is it
Yeah,
too
very
soon,
loud.
Is it too soon, David, to do a mashup this early in the life of the MBO 1? You don't think so?
No. I think this shoe's been such a hit that basically all of them have been loved. And I think I'm not usually a fan of shoes that don't match up, where one looks to the left looks different from the right. But I think this one works. All of these shoes, I've gone back and forth on what my favorite is. I think the Galaxy one is my favorite. It's the one that has that space theme for the majority of the shoe, and it just kind of pops. But the purple one is great. The one you got is great, Doug. The original red one is great. Like, this shoe has been such a hit that I think they can almost do no wrong. Even the low tops, I think, look good. So yeah, if you're watching right now, head on over, get in line at puma.com.
You got about
score your
7
pair.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we need to end it so everybody can go do that? Do we need to
I
help?
might want to hop off
Yeah.
and try to
I know.
nail it down.
All right.
Hop on.
All right, that'll do it. Any other final comments we want to get to, Doug, before we end today's show? Basketball or non-basketball
let's
related?
looky. Love our commenters. Thank you so much for getting on the chat. Let's see. Scrolling. Man, YouTube's scrolling. As soon as we started talking about Pam Anderson, by the way, the bots started jumping in the chat and with adult dating side. So I don't know.
They hear us.
They may be hearing us as well. I'm scrolling. Lonnie says Hornets will be playoff contenders. Hope for the best. They got 3 more years, and we are winning 3 or 6 straight. That's what I like to see.
There we
Lonnie.
go,
Topo. Let's
That's
go.
it.
No therapy
Friday
for you.
fun.
You don't need
all
it.
right. Scrolling. Joseph says IT is not an elite defender. They need a point guard with defensive handles. I'm telling you, Eric, I haven't been able to get this takeout.
Elite. You could throw elite out the window.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
he's not
throw elite
wrong.
out the window, but on the defense, I haven't been able to get this takeout yet. I think they should go after Eric Bledsoe. He's sitting right there. Would give you a little bit of pop of defense. Has been taking a little bit of a limited offensive role. I think Eric Bledsoe would be a good option for the Hornets to explore, unless they were just like, all right, we really have to bring IT back because LaMelo is enjoying his presence.
But if that was their only thing, that feels like that would have been done. Like, they could have had IT back in here yesterday at this point, right? I mean,
the problem is he's going to want more. He's going to want more. He did some proving last season, on those 10 days. So
his
he's gonna
market,
want
though. I
Not
mean, my
much
goodness.
more.
Who's
Well,
who's
you're
He was
talking
in the
to
G
bring
League
that in?
forever. I mean,
that's fine, but you're talking about margins at this point. You're talking about a team that doesn't want to get anywhere near the luxury tax. That's what I'm telling you, people. Every decision has to be this, excruciating decision because you're not willing to go throw some money out there.
Yeah, I still think vet men should be all right for Isaiah, but we'll see. But whoever said that, you're right. I'm not going to argue that he is an elite.
Have
defender.
you named the fish yet? James says, have you named the fish yet?
No, I have. Well, the thing is, there's so many different fish in there, so I'm not going to name the fish that school. We do have a beta, and his name we got from. So I think it comes from a Chappelle skit because we got the beta in there. It all started this process because we got him at a white elephant Christmas party. And so he was in a Christmas bag. He was in a gift bag. And then we open it up and then there's this fish and we're like, yeah, we'll take it home. We'll take the responsibility. And I think whoever got him said his name was Ice Tray, which is like from a Dave Chappelle show from the Real World skit. So I think he was one of the prisoners on Real World. So as just respect, I can't change the name to Shark Williams, but we will get a solo fish and we will name him Shark Williams. So yes, that's still to come.
Too many betas. We need some alphas on this team. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, David. You and me have been. I don't know what Walker's deal is on this show, but David and I have been insane.
When did I ever differ from that opinion? That was a weird. You felt that in your soul too. That was not like that's what I'm saying. Walker never wants any alphas. All he wants is betas.
That's
David
right.
Walker knows. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
I have no clue where that came from. I'm sorry. Topo to you guys, man. It's been a great Friday morning.
That's what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Great fun Friday. And I appreciate all the listeners, the audience, for hopping on with us on this Hive Live. Thanks for joining us, making us your first listen. Continue to make us your first listen, and Locked On NBA your second listen. It's your 30-minute daily update, everything going on within the association. That's Doug Branson. Follow him on Twitter at Doug Branson LOH. Also check out his work at everyhornetsboxscore.com. We have a couple of episodes going to be released within the next week or so, and those are some really fun ones, possibly some Bobcats era stuff. I promise we make it fun, so go check it out, everyhornetsboxscore.com. That's David Walker. You can follow him on Twitter at David B. Walker, helping us out every Friday. Also follow him on Twitter for some really nice shoe advice and some shoe win pictures, because he just won a pair of sneakers on the Sneakers app. And so, the Gotham. There's nothing better to see than a Gotham app, Gotham graphic on Twitter. Appreciate you hopping on with us. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday.